All right, I'm Whitney. I'm going to be doing some career development research. Is there anything you would like to know about me before we get started?
No.
All right, so tell me about yourself and what would be important for me to know in order to understand you better.
I'm 25. I have a 2-year-old son. I am a African American female. I work in a dental office. I went to college in Missouri for 2 years for
For what? What'd you study?
um it was just basics, and then I did a dental assistant program.
All right. So speaking of dental assisting, what other type of occupations were you aware of growing up?
Um of course, like teachers, police officers, firefighters, um, waitresses, um, people that worked at stores, like cashiers.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it, I guess.
All right. So give me a little bit of background about your work experiences, past and present.
My first job ever was a cashier. I was working at KFC and Taco Bell. Um, then I worked at Subway right after high school. Um, After that, I went and worked with mentally disabled individuals in their homes for about 4 years. I did some dental assisting, and then I went back to the um, basically being like a medical aide, and then I was a preschool teacher, and I did some more dental assisting, and then now I work in a dental office again.
So out of those, which one would you say was the most rewarding?
I would say being a preschool teacher and working with the mentally disabled.
Got you. So that leads me to my next question of what is important to you as far as career goes? Like, what aspects of career are important to you?
Obviously, it needs to be a good paying occupation.
So salary?
Yeah.
Okay.
However, I would also like to be happy in the work environment. I don't think you can work in a hostile work environment. I've done it and I hated it. So I think the environment is one of my biggest things.
Okay. So what would you say is not important? Like, what doesn't matter when it comes to career?
Um, I guess I don't know, if you have to wear a uniform, that doesn't really matter. Um,
Some people would say that money doesn't matter as long as I'm doing what makes me happy.
to a certain extent, like when I was teaching, I was only making when I first started teaching, I was only making like $8, and I didn't really care that much because at the time I didn't have my son, and it was just me, so I'm only taking care of myself. So I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And I also was working another job, so it wasn't that big of a deal at that time. But now I feel like people with kids, they can't settle for less. Like,
So would you say at this point in your life you'd be willing to compromise a little bit of job happiness for better pay
yeah,
for
just a
somewhere
little
else
bit.
where I'm not as happy?
Just a little bit. Because I don't want to be miserable every day when I go to work.
Okay, so tell me about your cultural and ethnic background.
Can
Like,
you further explain the question?
like your language preference, your level of education, your socio-economical background,
Oh,
i.e. your race, your low class, middle class, high class.
well, I am African American, as I said. forgot.
Well, your language preference, which would be.
I would say English. However,
Is,
I can understand Spanish pretty good.
okay.
So,
And your level and place of education.
I probably have about 2.5 years left to graduate if I decide to go back to school.
Okay. Tell me about your religious/spiritual background and how important spirituality is in your life.
Well, as far as religion goes, I've always been a Christian. However, my dad was in the military, so we moved around a lot, and it was hard to find good churches. We always knew like the ones back home, but I mean, we never really lived in Missouri except for the first 5 years of my life. So I wouldn't say I go to church all the time, but when I was younger, we did go to a couple different places.
And so, how would you say your religious background is related to your current career goals? Or is it or is it not?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Does your religious background play a role in your career goals? Like, some people's religion or spiritual goals may hinder them from pursuing a certain career because it conflicts with what they believe in spiritually.
Oh, so like somebody might want to make a whole lot of money, like nightly, but
Yeah, I guess.
they. Oh, well, I don't think it. I don't know. I don't think that.
If it
really-
did, I feel like you would know.
Okay.
All right. So, family. How has your family, both immediate and extended, influenced your career goals?
Well, my parents have always been really supportive in whatever I did. I have never really been able to figure out exactly what I wanted to do because I had 3 different careers that I wanted to do my whole life. So I've always just bounced around the 3. But my parents have always been very supportive about it. Everybody, mostly in my family, have always been supportive about anything that I do.
So, you would say, or would you say that your career goals match with your family's expectations, like what they expect of you?
Probably not. They probably expect a little bit more. They
Okay.
probably expected me to finish school. But, I mean, things happen, so.
Gotcha. So, who are some people in the community or like of a larger society, like teachers, neighbors, religious leaders, athletes, grandparents? Who is somebody that has influenced your career goals and why?
I would probably say my mom, for starters, because she was in the dental field for a little bit, so that's what made me want to do dental related things. I would say my cousin, because ever since we were little, she's always been like, I don't know, I've always looked up to everything that she did.
Why?
Why? I don't know. She was just always able to tackle everything that was given to her, like, without any problems. I just feel like she did everything just so gracefully and so peacefully.
So, as a black female that's a single mom, what do you see as your greatest challenge in pursuing your career goals?
Well, my biggest challenge right now is that if I was to go back to school, I would probably have to do it online because there's no way I can go to work, take him to daycare, and then come home. No, and then go to pick him up from daycare, take him somewhere else, and then go to school. So, I mean, going to school, if I wanted to go to school, it would have to be online. But I know that I couldn't probably do everything online for.
Yeah.
So, that's a big challenge.
What do you feel like your greatest asset is in pursuing your career goals?
I don't know. I've been throwing a lot of obstacles lately in my life, and I just feel like I can, if I just take it a step at a time, I don't have to stress out about it. And
Do you think that your son could be your greatest asset? Because it's just like everything can't be done because of logistics as far as daycare picking it up, doing this. But in the same token, I'm sure you want to provide him with a certain lifestyle, which may mean I got to go back to school or I have to grind to do this or to do that.
Yeah. It does make me want to do like way more, just so that he never has to ask for anything. Like he always has it whenever he wants.
So we've covered a lot of information today. Is there anything else that you would like to add or anything that we missed that you'd like to share?
I don't think so.